Hello everybody, this is The Last Raider and we're back with another video. And this is a good one because it involves one of my favorite artists. When it comes to drawing women in a comic book, there is only one guy in the West I would trust to draw women in my comic book with and do so without ever having met him. Okay, I would just throw the design at him, rough sketch of what I'm doing, throw it at him, and I know it would come out beautiful. And that is the late, actually no, not the late great, actually he's not dead. Wow, what was I thinking? Anyway, that is the still living and still whooping ass J. Scott Campbell. Okay, I remember when I was a kid and saw Danger Girl on the stands at my local food mart, back when they had the little wire stands that about like what you put your comic books in when you're in Fallout 4. You got the little comic book rack, you put it in there and you start stacking your comic books in there, and it squeaked when you turn it around. It'd squeak and piss off every Karen in the store. That was the greatest invention mankind ever made, because every Karen knew there was some unattended 7-year-old going in there looking through the dirty comic book magazines that were just full of violence and gore and big-tittied women. And it was great. Every time you squeaked it, you could hear a Karen die inside a little bit. But anyway, J. Scott Campbell here has been, of all the comic pros in this culture of woke and cancel culture, J. Scott Campbell has just been a Chad. Okay? Honestly, I think his full name is Chad J. Scott Campbell Thundercock at this point, because what's been going on with anime, what's been going on with a lot of artists, is that the trend with these SJWs, these cancel culture woke cultists, is they now have this idea that somehow they're going to go into society and fix everything. In short, they're going to go, if you draw a manga, I remember I went to a kid's house one time and he had a how to draw a manga book, and his mom had went in there with a permanent marker and put clothing on all of the chicks in there, because when you're studying art, you have to study anatomy. And this is what the book was about. It was about the anatomy of drawing women and drawing men and women inside of in manga. And his mom had went in there without his permission, his Karen mom, and put clothing, baggy shorts and stuff, and just destroyed all the examples of good art inside of manga. Mind you, another thing is, this was a book about how to draw manga from like the 80s. So it was a vintage book. Horrible what this bitch had done to it. But that was back when, anime, when it would come out, and manga were a little more, when you get the adult stuff, it was very adult. I'll put it like that. Not like, that was the stuff that constantly got censored. There were animes back in the 90s that were done in the 80s when they started coming over to the States, that everyone looked at them and were like, damn, we kind of like this, because anime was for adults. It wasn't something that kids watched. Kids would watch Pokemon, they would watch Yu-Gi-Oh!, they'd watch Monster Rancher or something like that. But when you got to the very serious stuff, you got like Ghost in the Shell and the other, that was for adults. But anyway, they've had this problem, where they go in, I forgot the name of the anime. Oni-chan or something like that. I forgot the name of it because I haven't seen it yet. I've been wanting to see it, but I've been looking for I've been trying to figure out if it's got like a dub or something, but I haven't been able to find it. By the way, they go in, the character is kind of short and has big tits. And I've told people before, not every Asian women are known for being petite. They're not known for being very tall. Asians in general are not known for being very tall, all right? And there is a scientific reason behind that. Some people theorize the reason why most white guys look very tall is probably because, animals usually get bigger the further north they go. the closer they get to the poles. And that was something that I pointed out. They were like, "Oh, if you look so short, you must be underage or some bullshit." And I was like, "No, that's just Asian women. Okay, most Asian women are pretty damn short. They're kind of petite. My wife is like 5'4". Okay, people sometimes get mad at me because they think I'm her dad kissing her on the lips. Also, my wife still looks like she's 16. She goes to bars and grills and still gets carded. And they're sitting back. They actually bring. My wife gets carded so bad. Most people they like look at the card and check it. They actually bring out a spectrometer for my wife's card at times, and we'll just stick her license underneath a light. Goes through like 4 or 5 filters in order to prove that's a real license. Like we're bringing out the CSI gear to do that. By the way, the problem that happens is after I've chased those rabbits, the problem that's been coming on with SJWs, they want to go in, they want to fix art. They go in, they would take Oni-chan and just go, I'm thinking that's her name. I could be totally butchering that. That's the only thing that's coming to mind at the moment. So please correct me in the comments. But they go in there and they make her super fat. They didn't make her really tall. They would, in any art that came out, they would start effing with it. And this kind of goes back to the Hawkeye initiative, which was they would take women popular poses. In other words, the really popular one where Spider-Woman is crawling down a building with her back to the viewer or the reader, and her butt would be up in the air. And it's a really sexy pose. They would put Hawkeye in that pose, and most of the time it would look more like non-binary or gender bender Hawkeye, because every time they put Hawkeye in there, it would just be a retrace of it. And this was done to shame comic artists. And that's what this is. It's not a fix. It's a shaming of comic artists when you go in there and you provide some damn fix. It's a shaming tactic. It's similar to struggle sessions in communist China. We're going to go in there and make you uncomfortable until you capitulate to our puritanical way of thinking. Well, Mr. J. Scott Campbell here decides not to take anything. So let's move on here and read through this. J. Scott Campbell. I'm gonna do this in my fancy fartsy voice. Over the weekend, a famous cover of mine featuring MJ from SpiderMan got a lot of attention again when it was being circulated on Tumbler, Twitter, and eventually on Facebook. You see, someone by the name of non-binary Finn Mertens took to fixing the art, as they put it, and well, that got a lot of people talking. Now, typically I just ignore this sort of thing, but it seemed to go a bit viral, with even friends and colleagues reposting it, explaining that this sort of correcting of their well-established artist is just, well, tacky. Which it is. In light of this, though, I decided to embrace the situation and do a little bit of art fixing myself. What do you think? Seems trendy? I'm up for new things. So let's have fun and fix stuff. First, we have non-binary Finn's initial fixing of my artwork. Be respectful now, as non-binary or MBF clearly states it's not perfect and doesn't look too closely at it. It's fine. Seems MBF might feel a bit sensitive about their art. Second, I take my opportunity to return the favor and generously offer my critique of non-binary Finn's fixing. MBF didn't ask for my criticism, but that's okay. I'm just giving it that way. I took time out of my busy schedule, to redraw and fix all of MBF's mistakes, and there were many. I then share how their artistic version would be improved with my fixing. Feel free to look as closely as you want. Hey, maybe non-binary Finn is onto something. Maybe unsolicited correcting no one asked for is fun. Hope this was educational, kids. Again, Chad J. Scott Campbell Thundercock has spoken. All right, it's just this is back in the 90s where we had a saying back in the 90s. It's called "Nut Up or Shut Up." You step in there, you're going to get smacked in the face. Okay, nobody walks into the Thunderdome and doesn't walk away bleeding. Okay, the guy that walks away bleeding is just lucky to be alive half the time. If he walks out of there. Some guys, man, go in there and just get a few scratches like, yeah, see, I kind of took care of that guy. I didn't beat him that badly. I didn't want to make him look too bad. So, anyway, J. Scott Campbell comes back with his fixes. This is the art that this guy supposedly, the non-binary Finn, apparently tried to fix. Let's see, going in here. The inner elbow is especially narrow here, and the forearm appears swollen and oddly bulbous. I would allow for some artistic stylization here, but since it appears the non-binary doesn't allow... Wow, that's a solid burn right there. The non-binary doesn't allow for much in the way of artistic exaggeration and insists on accurate autonomy. I'm going to have to rule on this just being, well, wrong and in need of some fixing. And if you want, I would do this, but there's so much here that non-binary Finn Mertens screwed up that I'm going to have like an hour-long video going through everything that J. Scott Campbell fixed, because there's a whole other page which shows the fixing that he did. But if you want to go read all this, I'll put a link to J. Scott Campbell's tweet, because this is where I got all the pictures for this. And y'all can go in there and look in. Give him a like. Tell him he's a great artist. If you feel like it, tell him Raider sent you. It'll help the channel out a little bit. So anyway, continuing on. Here's J. Scott. Here's the original that this guy did. Just did chest lumps. You can see, and had the knees kind of spread apart, trying to get Mary Jane to man spread, mind you. Didn't want to pull her arms together that much. So then J. Scott Campbell fixes it. You know, he makes her look like a woman. Gives her some boobs. Gives her a built midriff, because if you know anything about Mary Jane in the comic books, she is a supermodel. She models all kinds of stuff. There's actually one of my favorite books was when Mary Jane's sitting there going, when I was a kid, Mary Jane's sitting there, you know, trying to cheer up Peter Parker, and he's taking pictures, and he's like, I'm sorry, MJ, this just isn't working. I can't. I don't know how to be a professional model photographer. And she goes, I gotta cheer my tiger up. You know, she takes her top off. All you see is the bottom of her feet, and her top and bra just fall off, hit the floor. And Parker's got this, he's got the look on his face that you know, yep, we have achieved liftoff at that point. And she goes, why don't you take some pictures for our private collection? And I'm sitting there thinking, damn, I hope I get a wife like this. MJ was the ultimate wife material back in the 90s, folks. But I mean, you see J. Scott Campbell coming there, and he actually sticks true to the character, sticks to true anatomy instead of super exaggeration, but does provide a lot more detail, provides a more feminine pose, and makes the character look more feminine when it's over with. I mean, this is the difference between that was the original. I'll get to that here in a minute, because that gets really funny here in a second. But compared to the person who fixed it, there's a lot of things. Like with art, especially in comic books, you're supposed to exaggerate things. The point of the art is to entertain, not to educate. And that's the problem with SJWs. They want to be a professor educating everybody in the room when they don't realize that you're supposed to entertain. You're supposed to make people smile and have feels and things of that nature, and have the good feels, not the bad feels, where you sit there and feel like you're being preached at from a pulpit. And paying for it, unfortunately. But comparing all of this to the original, and this is what they were trying to fix, the original is much better. I love the original one. This is actually, I believe, one of J. Scott Campbell's most favorite pictures. But the funny part is the way a lot of fans reacted. And I've got here, there's a lot of fans that react to it that are in the tweet that I'm going to put in here. But one of them that wasn't in J. Scott Campbell's tweet timeline ended up putting up this picture, the original one. But then a girl who's a cosplayer comes out and does the same exact picture, cosplaying it. showing what it would look like in real life. And honestly, it looks realistic. I mean, some women are built with the ability to do this, and I don't know what to tell people. When you got chicks, when you've got, okay, J. Scott Campbell fixing your fix of his art, and then you've got actual cosplayers coming out there and showing how J. Scott Campbell's original is actually reality, you've taken a humongous, massive L, okay? It's it's amazing. Anyway, folks, be sure to check the description in the video for J. Scott Campbell's tweet. You can click on that. It'll take you right to the tweet. You can read all the fixes that J. Scott Campbell did. Just congratulate the man. The man did amazing. He has done so much art for Marvel and IDW. He also did, I believe, I don't know if it was his first artistic run, but I know one of his first big things that he did was Danger Girl. It's not, if you ever find that book, IDW's Danger Girl series, there's usually like a big thick book you can buy at comic shops, and you like J. Scott Campbell's art, it is nothing but sexy women, badass guys, and George Clooney is in it too. There's a character in there that looks just almost perfectly like an older George Clooney. It's amazing. I mean, it's a really good book. I loved it. It had everything. It had Nazis. It has ancient Greek gods. It has ninjas, fucking ninjas fighting it out. It was girls with big guns, girls with bazooka, and every girl comes with a set of bazookas. So I mean, you've got, and I mean, there's some awesome. There's even a hot tub scene that's just like, whoo. Man, there's so many near misses in that. In just a couple of pages, there's so many near misses. The jokes are awesome. I love the peanut one, though. That was amazing. That was so bad. I showed that one to my wife, and she was like, oh, wow, that is a solid burn. And I was like, yes. Comic books back in the day, man, they were, they don't make good comic books anymore like they used to back in the 90s. Anyway, folks, tell me what you think in the comments. Be sure to comment and like. That helps out the channel a lot. It boosts up, it enables their algorithm to boost the channel a bit. Lets YouTube know that this is some popular content and that people like it. Also, if you're new to the channel, be sure to hit subscribe, hit the bell of notification, and as always, remember, folks, be safe, stay frosty. See you guys next video. Bye bye now.